student debt has become a crisis of epic proportions for the young. There's now more student debt in this country than there is credit card debt. It's now a total of about $1.2 trillion is owed. And I did the math myself. We are now seeing that rate increase by about $100 billion each year. $100 billion more student debt with every year that passes by. This is a crisis. This is a moral crisis. This is a political crisis. This is an economic crisis. And in the end, it's a crisis about justice. I just want to make a few points, if I may, about this issue. Social mobility in the United States is at or near its lowest point in modern history. In fact, I think it is at its lowest point. We pride ourselves at being the only in America nation. Only in America can a poor boy grow up or poor girl grow up to be president of the United States. No more, because education is the door to social mobility. We've lost social mobility. We've lost access to education. It's in danger of becoming an inherited privilege in this country, just as it would be with an aristocracy. The greatest predictor of a child's likelihood of graduating college lies in answer to this question: did his parents graduate high school or college? Right now, the statistic is that a young person in the United States, the odds that he will achieve higher education if his parents do not have an upper secondary education are just 29%, one of the lowest levels among developed countries. That's according to the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. One of the lowest levels of this kind of advancement in the world is here in the United States. This is not a land of opportunity that's being described here, and that's a shame. The cost of higher education is hitting lower income Americans the hardest. A recent analysis showed, and I quote from the Hechinger report, America's colleges and universities are quietly shifting the burden of their big tuition increases onto low-income students, while many higher-income families are seeing their college costs rise more slowly or even fall. In other words, even grants and scholarships are skewing towards the wealthier among us. And more people are failing to graduate college. Young Americans in the 25 to 34-year-old age group aren't as educated as the young citizens of many other developed countries. In fact, the OECD found that the U.S. ranks 14th in the world, 14th, 13 countries ahead of us in the percentage in that age group with a higher education. That's a personal loss for our young people, but it's also an economic loss because better educated adults earn more, a lot more. In fact, college educated, it's unfortunately split by gender, as men are still earning more than women. We're working on that. But right now, college educated men in the United States earn an average of $675,000 more over their lifetime than those without a college education, and it's a little under $400,000 for women. We'll work on that. We'll improve that. But in the meantime, we need to get more people educated. Unfortunately, higher education in the United States is extremely expensive, and public funds pay for far less of our education than elsewhere in this country. So this country, compared to other developed countries, charges more for education and provides less assistance for it. In fact, public funds pay for 70% of higher education on average in developed countries and pay for roughly half of that here. So with that in mind, we need to remember that not only are things not getting better, they're getting worse. States are withdrawing their higher education funds, even though higher education is a good investment. It's an affordable dream. It's something we can do for our country. How would free public higher education work? One way would be to make tuition to all public universities and colleges free. We can do that. We can afford that. It's cheaper than the defense budget, for example. It's something we can organize and put together. It's significantly cheaper, as a matter of fact. It could be paid for in any number of ways. Closing corporate loopholes would come to nearly double the cost it would take to provide free public higher education. Or Representative Jan Schakowsky's Fairness in Taxation Act, which would up the top tax rate for billionaires to a very modest 49%, would also pay for it. So the numbers are with us, the morality is with us. It would be good for the economy, and it would be a way of freeing our young people from this crushing burden of debt and allowing them to lead healthy, productive, meaningful, fulfilling lives. So, although it sounds radical to today, every new idea sounds radical. I hope others will join in the call for free, universal public higher education. I'm RJ Eskow, and this is The Zero Hour.